I got a rant about fat-phobic doctors. Oh my god, buckle up, Buttercup.
So I've been in the hospital for the last few days for acute hyponatremia, which means low sodium. And if you didn't know it, if your sodium gets too low,
Anyway, so I had showed up to the ER with weakness, could barely walk, and was getting short of breath with it and everything. And then they checked my sodium and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they sent me up to the med surge floor and said, "You're going to stay with us for a while."
so they're assigning me this doctor who is, going to be my attending provider while I'm in the hospital. And he's, okay, he's nice to my face and everything. I guess does his job or whatever, but in his clinical notes. Okay, side note, I don't know if these doctors know that we can actually see their clinical notes in our my chart. I think some of them forget. Maybe this guy doesn't know that I can see his notes, but I can. And in his notes, he always made a point to point out that I was obese in like areas of his notes where it didn't really matter or it didn't need to be there. And like it showed up in my diagnoses, obviously, because it's a clinical diagnosis, obesity. And, obviously the guy's not blind. I'm not blind. Hello. But that's beyond the point. He also would point out in his notes and tell me that the weakness I was having, the acute weakness I was having, and the shortness of breath that came on, suddenly, was because of my sedentary lifestyle and my deconditioning. Okay, mister. Never mind the fact that my sodium's so low that if it goes any lower, I could croak. Anyway, so fast forward, sodium pills don't, like salt pills don't work. And he finally calls in a nephrologist who actually specializes in this stuff. And the nephrologist comes in to see me and he sits down and he explains the medicine he's going to give me and all this stuff. And I said, okay, well, by the way, can low sodium also cause weakness in your legs and shortness of breath and all this stuff? And he said, oh, yes, it absolutely can. That is why you were having that, my friend. It's because your sodium was low. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, well, that's a little bit validating. And I go look in my discharge notes and all the clinical notes after I get home. The attending provider still is sticking to his guns. The weakness and stuff is because of deconditioning. And the nephrologist is saying, oh, well, this is because of low sodium. TLDR, doctors are fat phobic sometimes.